with me today, I have Pietro, also known as Shadow.
Hey guys.
Nick, also known as Xizor.
That is me.
And today we're going to be reviewing a Zelda game. In specifics, Wind Waker. And, Pietro.
Yeah.
It was you who chose Wind Waker, wasn't it?
Indeed, it was.
Yeah. Why did you choose Wind Waker of all games?
Because it's really one of the most controversial of the Zelda series. There's
Yeah.
It's basically separated into two camps, those who love it and those who hate it. And I am one of them who hates it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, since we're just going to be reviewing, let's jump right into it right away. We're going to be starting with graphics, because the graphics are such a lovely point about Wind Waker.
They're the part that makes it.
Very cool.
They're the part that makes it great. The thing about Wind Waker that makes it stand above all the rest is the fact that the graphics were innovative and different for their time.
That's true. Well,
There were
You said that
differences
you-
in terms of Zelda games, okay?
Huh?
There were other cel-shaded games before it. Alright?
They were other what?
Cel-shaded games before it.
But they weren't on the GameCube.
So?
Well, what other cell shaded games were really significant besides Wind Waker? They might have been there first, but they were not as significant.
Jet Set Radio.
Personally, I believe that, graphically, it's not very, it's not the most controversial part of Wind Waker for me, because, quite frankly, I think that, the style of Zelda has always been a little kiddie. But,
No, come on.
yeah, it has. I mean, Ocarina of Time kind of went for the more adult way, but that was kind of only because you played as adult Link.
Ocarina of
think.
Time, Majora's Mask. The two most celebrated of the series.
Yeah, and when looking at...
I hated Majora's Mask.
Let's take that for another review, shall we? But Majora's Mask... Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are different to Wind Waker in a way, and you can really see that Wind Waker went for a more cartoony style when compared to those two games. But personally, I think that when it comes to realism, Zelda has never really been about that stuff.
Well,
Never. I mean,
I think part of
even
what makes
Twilight
Zelda
Princess-
not about realism is the fact that, we have magic. And
Yeah,
Exactly, it's a
It's a
very
fantasy.
three
fantastic,
goddesses.
Yeah.
So I don't think realism was ever
Yes.
really the point. The problem with people
No.
who don't like the graphics of Wind Waker is that it makes them uncomfortable with their own homophobia.
Yeah.
Why is
That's
everything
it.
about, sexual orientation?
I didn't say it was about sexual orientation, but you look at that game and it makes you uncomfortable with yourself, doesn't it? Why don't you like that?
I just don't like
Want
it.
to play with your pee-pee.
But on a conscious level, you don't think about it that way. But really, you don't want to seem childlike. You don't want to seem like...
Come on. Don't start with that crap.
Well, then what else don't you like about it? Because the number one complaint I hear against the graphics
Just
of Wind
doesn't
Waker...
look good.
What's not good about it? They were nice
It's not
colors.
appealing.
They were pretty.
It's bright.
It
Yeah,
looks
seriously.
good. I mean,
Brights look good with darks. You can't just
I-
have everything bright.
I'm pretty sure that
Well,
Ganon
not
was
everything
dark.
is bright.
Okay,
I mean,
Ganon
It's very colorful.
and the
I
under
think. It's
and
very colorful.
I'm sorry, but the Tower of Gods was very dark.
Come on.
It was
Kinda.
a dark
Well,
labyrinth.
It wasn't the darkest in the series. I mean, you can find darker stuff in other Zelda games. Well, 3D Zelda games, but in terms of just Zelda games in general, it's not that bright. Really. I mean, we have the upcoming Skyward Sword, which is pretty much Wind Waker's colors in Twilight
It
Princess
basically looks like a
clothes.
rainbow.
Basically.
Yes, and I personally find that game to look, or did look, quite fine. I mean, from what I can see, they have kind of dumbed down the colors in that game a little. and I liked the colors in Wind Waker. That was kind of what was so attractive to me, was that it was very colorful and enhancing in
Right.
terms of environments.
But the
I mean,
colors
there was a
don't
lot of
vary.
blue to look at,
Like-
but that was like,
Let's say the color of the sea. It's all one matte color.
So
There's
is
no
the
variation.
deep ocean.
The ocean.
I mean,
That's
if you look at a satellite picture of Earth, you don't have purple seas.
Okay, but it's not about realism. You just said it.
But what you're saying
I
now is that it's not you're complaining about uniformity when that is actually realistic, whereas the number one complaint is that it's unrealistic. I mean,
You look at the grass. It's all one matte color. You look at the characters. All one matte color. I mean, come on.
I saw yellow grass. And
Yeah,
his
where?
grandma was quite tan. I'm sorry.
well, I don't know about the single colors argument. I mean, when you look at grass, I think you're just going to be seeing green some places, but I
Okay,
don't really find that
so-
a problem.
I get the complaint that it looks like a lack of effort, but
Yeah,
really,
basically.
does that ultimately
Looks like someone just put
ruin-
in blotches of one specific color with no variation.
but does that ruin the game?
It ruins the graphic part of the game. The graphics aren't everything, but it ruins that aspect.
I mean, does it ruin it? I mean, I don't get how it ruins it because I just don't see that as important. I mean, I think
Well, I do.
I don't pay attention to the grass. It's there for me to walk on, and that's
Well,
about it.
let's move away from colors and start talking about the actual people, the character models. Let's talk about how the game looks in terms of
Giant head,
shapes.
tiny body. There.
It's like a
Yeah.
cartoon. They never. I don't know. We could go on for an hour about the graphics, I think. So why don't we move on to the other aspects of the game?
Let's just conclude the graphics part that
In real life, Link's
Nick
neck would have
and Pietro
snapped
will make
because
up
of the size of his head.
to each other after this.
Just because his head is the size of a grapefruit, okay?
With hugs and kisses and don't say another word or you will be scarred for life.
XOXO.